5 inches. That sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah, it's really cold here too. We're like in the 40s, and I think we're going to freezing maybe tonight for the next couple nights, I think, and then it starts warming up again. I don't ever get over it because I only get like at best maybe 2, 3 days of it a year. Yeah, that can be a problem if you don't have snow removal people, right? You wouldn't know. You've never even seen snow. You wouldn't know what to do if you did. Worst you've ever had to do is look out the window at it, if you even did that. Yeah, seven's a little cold, tad bit nippy. There we go. Now we broke through the ice, right? You like ice water? I guess this weekend is like the Christmas fair downtown. I don't know if I'm going to go if it being this cold. It could be a nice day, I think, just to spend inside. Looks like you're like the only one in here, Janine. Oh, there's Dr. Susan. All right. I was thinking, Jean's going to have to pick up the slack here and keep the conversation going. So far, it's just us two, Susan. Yes, she is. I think the only more reliable escapee is me. I kind of got to be here in order for anything to go on. Yeah, I was kind of disappointed I didn't do more footage of it last year. I didn't actually, I filmed it only on my cell phone last year. I think that was part of the issue. I don't like the video I get off my cell phone. I didn't bring the real camera, but I decided to bring it this time. Yeah, that's a kind of a cool thing. Hello, Suzanne. Okay, now we're starting to get some people in here. Hey, John. I wasn't really supposed to film in there, but I just did clips. And so usually there's something called fair use. That was also why I flipped the music backwards so I didn't run into issues there. And who knows, it may turn into good advertising. It was just a little north of Waco, a little past an area called Belmead. You know, what they do is they just find some field out in the middle of in nowhere, and they're completely self contained. Yeah, no snow here either. It's been cold. We've gotten into the 30s, into the 30s and below freezing. And actually, probably going to do that tonight. It's overcast. It's windy coming out of the north, so it's really cold out right now. Good day to be inside doing a live stream. It actually wasn't a full house, honestly. I was really surprised because even like the day of, I went and looked and saw what seats were available, and I would say they were maybe a quarter full. But you got to remember, this is a Sunday night too. Probably not the best night to go in terms of getting a big crowd. It was Sunday. It was Sunday night. Yeah, you remember I cut the live stream short last week because I was getting sick. Turns out that once I got done with the live stream, I went over and picked up some Dayquil and was able to suppress the symptoms well enough that I could go that night, and it really didn't slow me down the whole week. Oh no, what happened, Suzanne? Yeah, especially in Texas, John. I had a great seat. I was front row center. I might move a little bit to the right or a little bit to the left because, like for instance, when the performers were using the crossbow and shooting the balloons, unfortunately, the shooter would be right between me and the target. So I just didn't want to. I thought being in the front row last year would be fine, but I was way on the side, so there was a lot of a lot of action that was aimed the other direction or something. Yeah, like I said, that was the thing I remembered last year the most is that act and specifically the setting up of it. I caught the whole thing. I just did time lapse footage there, but that they got that thing out and installed and ready to go in less than 2 minutes. That was almost as good as the show itself. I'm glad I finally got all the Christmas up. I got the tree up this year too now, so that's good to go for the season. Yeah, it's decorated. You just can't really see it in the dark. I put all my Star Trek ships on it. Star Trek and Star Wars and Galaxy Quest. I got a new one this year too. I got a Cylon Raider from the original Battlestar Galactica. Found that in the collection. I figured last year, they have the kind of collectible ornaments every year, and it's a new one every year. And so I figured, well, okay, let's go see what they have this year. They had the ship, the Captain Picard uh, flies from Star Trek from the TV series Picard, but I've never seen that one, so I just decided to go with that. That was the only thing that really kind of caught my attention. Yeah, Twilight Zone one would be great. Well, I got my lights up, and the three neighbors across the street have lights up, and some of the neighbors a couple of houses down have them up. So I don't know. We're getting into Christmas. Hopefully, I don't know. It's probably everybody's going to have them up now. Has probably got them up. Probably not going to be much more happening between now and Christmas. Yeah, there's lights on the house too. In fact, I bought all new icicle lights this year because the old ones I've had them for years and years and years, and they weren't looking that good anymore. So I replaced all the icicle lights this year. gave me a little bit of vertigo doing it, being up on the ladder. So I'm glad I didn't have to do that this year. I did learn one thing that I'll do differently next year, but I definitely light up my end of the block. You know, between those two lighting lit trees and what I do down the during the on the porch is pretty wild too. I'm looking for some sort of controller that'll do that, Susan. I don't know. I've been looking around. A lot of the stuff is really primitive. I'd like to find something I could program myself. And there's got to be somebody out there that makes that. Plug it into a laptop or something like that and have it control it. No, I wouldn't want to annoy the neighbors by having the music play at night. I'd probably do like most people do, a broadcast on some unused radio frequency. Well, you can buy these low power FM transmitters that are good for like, 50 feet or 100 feet or something like that. And so, somebody in the front yard could, turn on the radio and listen to the music if they wanted. That's all that's really about. Starting to get into the Christmas movies now this year. Well, this is sort of the modern equivalent of a call-in radio program. It's kind of calling in, you're typing in, but it's other than that, it's pretty much the same thing. Yeah, I don't know. I don't listen to country music, so I wouldn't be able to identify any of the artists either. Yeah, you type to me, that's sort of the same. And I talk to you. That would be fun to do though, huh? I guess supposedly you could make and receive calls on Facebook. Well, anything involving me is always going to be a fractured relationship. That's just that's just the way the game's played. Oh yeah, he's still here in case you wondered. Did Matt's camera just fall over? That's funny. Yeah, there's my bite. Hello, Gene. Meow. Gene says meow. Frame it up a little better here. Yeah, the Christmas lights came out nice. Yeah, it's good to hear Yvonne's on the mend. Yeah, pretty much, Susan. Bite's purring right now. He's a little purr machine. I'm surprised sometimes it doesn't come through on the camera. Yeah, he's definitely purring right now. He always does. No, don't have any cooking recipes or cooking vlogs planned, but you know what? They can happen anytime. Yeah, he's my buddy. Oh, computer says it's 47 right now, and I don't doubt it. It's probably more colder than that with the wind chill because there's like a north wind coming in right now. It's really very, very chilly. It's overcast, it's windy, it's cold out. Good day to stay inside. Or at least until this generation forgets about that kind of stuff. You know, history begins today, today's generation. You're gonna walk around in circles. Is that what you're gonna do? You think you turn your back, walk away from me, turn around and face me again? I think it's gonna be a different cat. Is that what it is? Huh? Is that how it works? It's easy to write off history when you're convinced that it's just a bunch of old white people who didn't know what they were doing and were slaveholders and evil people. So might as well just forget everything. You know, there's nothing we can learn from them. Be interesting to go down to the Doris Miller Memorial and see if they've decorated it for today. It's not my favorite thing, but I at least like to know a little bit about it. There's certain parts of it, especially when it's something I can go see. I think that's one of the things I kind of like about Waco is that there's a lot of history here. See, that's maybe a little something about me. I don't necessarily go watch documentaries that much on history. Now, if it's like a documentary on something science related or something like that, I'm all over that. Or even fix it. You know, that's how I learned to do a lot of what I know how to do is by watching fix it shows. You got to be careful though what the source is, because a lot of this stuff, it's you never know how accurate it is. If it's from a legitimate source, that's fine, but just kind of keep your eyes open and your mind open. Maybe this isn't what actually happened. A lot of people doing historical documentaries that have an agenda. Yeah, there's a good example of where not to look, Suzanne. Oh, people are going to criticize you for everything. That's just the way it works. Hiya, Tracy. You gonna say hi to Tracy, or just let her look at you the back of your head? That's how you tell that your cat really loves you when they show you the back of their head. Never seen Joe Rogan. I don't know. I don't do a lot of the podcasting stuff, I guess. I think I've seen clips of it. I don't think but I haven't watched the whole thing. He dropped it. I'm not going to pick it up for him. He's gotta get it himself here, but he can't, of course. Yeah, no, sorry, dude. That's it. You're gonna be biting my finger now. Yeah, train set is up. So, yep, that's the answer to your question. I didn't show it being assembled this year, but I did put it up. Yeah, Christmas is as set up as it's going to be this year. Hey, Yvonne, there she is. We are talking about you a little while ago. How you doing? That's good. It's good that you're improving. That's what needs to happen. Just going to take time. Yeah, for the most part, I'm in the trailing end of the cold. My voice is still a little scratchy. In fact, I was wondering yesterday if I was going to have to cancel today because I wasn't sure I was going to have my voice, but seems to be all right now. Turns out I think what I really needed was just to get some Dayquil in me and suppress the symptoms. Let's see what's going on here. Uh-oh. Susan found some ornaments here. Let's see what we got here. Let's see here. That one. Yeah, there it is. It's funny, for a second I thought that one there at the bottom was a Star Trek ornament. But the ones they have like at the Hallmark store though, that's they're actually like, little figurines. It's not just like a picture or something, but actually, little scenes or something from the show. They have a lot of like movie themes, and so I saw some Christmas story ones and that kind of stuff. Harry Potter, they got all sorts of Harry Potter stuff. What I like about the Hallmark ones though is they're like limited edition. They do them 1 year and 1 year only, and so that kind of makes them collectible. I mean, I'm sure that's what they're going for. Um, is getting people to buy them and say, "Oh man, I got to get every one of them." And I mean, I've been a sucker for that because I got a bunch of different ones. Yeah, the first training video has been released. It's been very well received, and I'm actually working on the second one now. I turned in the script to my boss yesterday. Yeah, I don't know. Let me see if I can go to the Hallmark webpage here. I'm sure they have one. Okay, they even have a section called Hallmark ornaments here. Okay, so I'll show you this. This is on the Hallmark page, and I guess you can probably buy all this stuff online too if you want. So yeah, they got all these kind of goofy things. There's Charlie Brown, but they got, oh come on, let's get rid of all the pop-ups here. Let's see, sci-fi. Yeah, that's the ones that we want. That's the good stuff. Oh man, all the pop-ups. Give me a crate. Give me a break here. Okay, yeah, there's Han Solo, Frozen, and Carbonite. A lot of Star Wars stuff. Jurassic World, T-Rex. Yeah, see, this is the kind of stuff that they have. Looks like mostly Star Wars. Let's see, what else do we got? Oh, they get Disney. Like, I will stay away from that. Hobbies and interests. Let's see what that does here. Pickleboard, gaming. Yeah. Santa Claus on a surfboard. In case you ever just absolutely needed something like that and said, "Hey, that's the thing that's missing in my life." There we go. That's what everyone needs on their tree: a hot glue gun, electric guitar, lawnmower. Yeah, there we go. Always kicking grass. Okay, whatever. Yeah, I am too. I have a significant number of the Star Trek ones. It's cool when you do things like that, Suzanne. You have mice? Oh, that's good. That's a relief. I was concerned there for a second. Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm just messing with you. Sometimes the fat finger responses are better than the original ones. Well, as long as you keep making progress, you'll be out soon. Just keep thinking about that. Keep positive thoughts. It'll happen. I was wondering what a general nerve was. Okay, well, I at least know what that is. Yeah, fortunately, I don't have to deal with autocorrect because what I say is what I say, and it isn't open to any machine misinterpreting it. Isn't that sort of what a advent calendar is? A diversion plan? Distract the kids from tearing the house apart as you're coming into Christmas? Yeah, we'll see if there's anything out there. I actually, there's this neighborhood that I've been to a few times before, where the whole block does stuff. I went there last weekend. I didn't film it. I just went there just to walk, and it was still early enough in the season that the crowds weren't there yet. So I don't know. Maybe we'll go there. One of the problems, like, I kind of want to find different places because you get to the point where neighborhoods like that, it's the same stuff every year. That's sort of what I like to do with mine. I like to add to it each year. I do the same on Halloween. Yeah, feeling better this week, Brack. Thank you. I wasn't sure whether I was going to be able to do a live stream today because last night it seemed like I was losing my voice, but I seem to be okay right now. I'm still coughing and wheezing a little bit, but seem to be okay. Actually, what I needed to do last week was just get some Dayquil in me. When I was done with a live stream last week, I went to the grocery store and got that, and that basically, just suppressed all the symptoms. And from that point on, the cold didn't really affect me much. I mean, I went to that paranormal circa last Sunday night. Several hours after being on the live stream, and was just fine. And that other video I did too, the one where I was putting the stuff up in the trees, that was done on that same day. So I don't know. I've taken so many days off in the past few weeks, past couple months actually. I'm actually ready for a little work time now. Funny how that happens, huh? Oh, hey, Ruth. There's another face in the past. Yeah, are they? That's good. That's what I was going for. I wanted to make you all yawn. I could make all your pets turn crazy too. That's really funny when Rhonda's here. She was uh, she was here a couple weeks ago. I guess her boss has just been making her work a lot of weekends lately. Yeah, menagerie. That's a good word. I don't know about a loud snoring chihuahua. I've never been a chihuahua kind of person anyway. If I'm going to get a dog, I'm going to get a big dog. A real dog. Meow. Kind of like I got a big cat. Yeah, I am too, Ruth. I'm really lucky. Most chihuahuas do. They think they're more tough than they actually are. No, I guess I missed that Kiss was honored. Doesn't surprise me. The band seems to be really, really patriotic. I remember when Jordan and I went and saw them a few years ago, that they stopped the show and played the national anthem. You know, I mean, that's just them, and I've heard them do that a bunch of times. I've heard of them doing that. At the tone, the time will be 12 o'clock. No, I never had pedigree German shepherds, but there was always a little German shepherd in the mix of the dogs we had. Yeah, that's right. If it's 12 here, it's one there. That's true. Yeah, it's a different time everywhere. Yeah, it's 12:02 here too. How are things in the future, Susan? Is it great? Is it better than it is now? I mean, how often do you get a chance to talk to the future? Yeah, flashes. Well, I it's been so cold for the last week or so that flashes into storm shelter in the garage. So, you remember that box I built for her? It's, portable enough I can pick her up and just, I put her in there, close the door, put her in the storm shelter, wedge the door against the wall of the storm shelter so she can't get out. And it keeps her cool enough so she stays in hibernation mode, but not so cold that you'll risk her freezing. That's the big concern here. And I think I'm going to probably keep her in the garage until at least Tuesday because supposed to have a couple of cold nights. Yeah, I haven't really done a lot of videos with Flash in them lately. I posted a picture of her on Facebook a few days ago that I thought was kind of amusing. Let me see if I can find that. Pretty sure I put it in the skipping the mouse channel here. Yeah, this is actually a photograph I took and made in made in Photoshop and then posted. But basically, I was making a joke that I built this big elaborate thing for her to hibernate in, which is the picture on the top, and she chooses to sleep under a bunch of trash bags. So yeah, that's how well my plans work. I also posted this to check this thing out. Oh, I guess this is probably an article here, not a picture. Oh yeah, check that out. I've heard about this a few times. This is a geode that's in Mexico, and it's like what it says here is like 300 meters underground, and very few people get to look into it because it's actually really uncomfortable to be in because it's like 50 degrees Celsius in there all the time. It's like 130, 140 degrees Fahrenheit. And so you can only be in there for a few minutes, but look at that thing. Holy cow. How awesome would it be to find something like that in your backyard? Thanks for stopping in, Tracy. See you next time. I don't know exactly why she died. We never really took her to the vet. She just kind of faded away. I don't think she was in pain. She didn't seem to be. In fact, for the first time in her life, I heard her purring, which she never did that. So I didn't want to take her to the vet. She hated going to the vet, and you know I think it was just better to let her go with her brother. Yeah, she was a sweetie. It's funny. It's affected Biden. Even to this day, it affects him. He does not go up on the shelves anymore, not at all. And he used to be up there all the time. That was his favorite place to be. He'd be on that top shelf and just kind of watching his world. Not anymore. He hasn't been up there since she died. In fact, he hasn't been up there since she lost the ability to get up there. The last few days, she couldn't even hop up on the shelf anymore, and he never went up there again. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how much comprehension she had, or even what Bite had of what was happening. But I know he's way more clingy now than he ever used to be. He used to have her to hang out with, and they were together all the time. They were inseparable. So I think, yeah, I'm his only connection to any other life form now. I take him out to her grave every once in a while. Flash and Bite have never really, had much of a relationship because Flash is outdoor and she's indoor. She's seen him a few times. In the house in California, every once in a while he'd get in, or Flash would get into the house, and I'd see her just kind of walking around in the living room or something like that. And so Bite did cross paths with her a few times, but yeah, never really that much. I don't think they had much of a relationship, and I don't know if Bite's even seen Flash since we moved here. Yeah, very close bond. I mean, they're brother and sister, and they've been together their whole life. I found him at 5 weeks old in my backyard. I've shown you that picture before. Let me see if I can find that one real quick here. I don't know, maybe I don't have that. Maybe that's something I got to upload at some point. I thought for sure I had it. Maybe I don't. Got a lot of Halloween stuff. Yeah, I guess not. I don't know. Yeah, I've never seen any of my pets kind of respond to music that way. Well, actually, no, not necessarily. I had a parrot when I was a kid or when I was younger, and he liked music. He would even dance to it. I don't know how long it's been since you were here last, Ruth. About 6 months ago, I got basically just uh, a, a random bonus. Wasn't really a promotion. It's just they kind of looked at what leads and other departments were making and tried to equalize us to them. So I got a pretty decent just increase in salary. Like I said, about 6 months or so ago. I don't know if you heard about that, but yeah, I've been a lead now for 2 years, so that's still going along, and they haven't fired me, so I must be doing something right. Yeah, I've seen stories about parrots that call that talk to Alexa. I don't know if I've ever heard him playing music at 1 a.m. and then dancing to it, but that doesn't really surprise me that there'd be video out there of that. Oh wow, it's 50 out now. Heat wave here. Short pants and t-shirt weather. All right, one down. Yeah, I got at least one that I'm gonna do this week. I think I mentioned last week on the live stream, and that video I did a year ago about building the squirrel house. That video started taking off about 6 months ago, and it's got well over like 2,000 views right now. So I want to kind of go back and revisit that because I never actually put the thing in the tree. It's been sitting in the garage ever since. And so last weekend I painted it to make it kind of waterproof. And this week I want to try to hopefully get it in the tree because it's getting real cold out. Now is a good time that the squirrels are going to like to have a good house. Well, I thought you said hockey movie there for a second. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to have any insight into that. I don't know any hockey movies I've ever seen. Holiday movie. I don't know. I watched Die Hard last night. I know a lot of people don't consider that a holiday movie, but there's a small group of movies that I tend to watch every Christmas. Christmas Story is one of them. I've watched that already this year, Susan. Like I said, Die Hard, but I'll do Ernest Saves Christmas and Scrooge and Christmas Vacation and Christmas with the Crumpses. That's all part of the uh, the routine for Christmas each year. Well, I tend to watch the movies that I own on DVD or Blu-ray, and so I don't have Jingle All the Way. Is that the one with Tim Allen? I'm sure there are a few things on Netflix and on Paramount Plus that are Christmas related. We'll check that out maybe. What does anybody think about, or everybody think about Netflix buying Warner Brothers? Yeah, I'm sure there are probably some kind of raunchy movies. So you can go all the way to Schwarzenegger, huh? Okay. I guess it would appear so, Susan. I don't know. I guess I'd have to see what, because supposedly the entire Warner Brothers catalog will end up on Netflix. So I guess I have to see what that includes. I guess I heard it's like it's going to include things like Harry Potter and stuff like that. I just I just hope it isn't a bad match like it was when AOL bought out Warner Brothers. That didn't last long. AOL was kind of on their way out anyway at the time, so it was probably not the best purchase in the history of mergers. The only well, I worked at Warner Brothers at the time that happened, so every employee got a free AOL account. So I did have one, but I only got it because it was free, and when it stopped being free, I stopped using it. Even at the time, when that was really the only way. I was on Prodigy. That was my first wading into the internet. So is it kind of an action movie then? I mean, obviously you got Phil Hartman, so there's some comedy in there. Yeah, I saw the first Home Alone movie. And I mean, I never really was that big of a fan of it, and I don't think I saw any of the others. I don't even know how many others there are. One of the problems you run into with a dish network, unless it's the big giant dishes, the little ones that are maybe 24 or 30 inches in diameter, is they're so susceptible to weather conditions. I know because I one of the companies I worked at after Warner Brothers was a little manufacturing company in Brea, and for some reason at that point they didn't have high speed internet going that on that whole block, and so if you wanted internet, your only option was this dish system thing, and I remember our internet was unreliable, it was slow, and that was when the weather was good. When the weather was bad, it's like yeah. Yeah, I never really got into a lot of the old movies. I like the movies that are kind of that I remember from when I was a kid or young adult. I mean, in a way, you consider Gremlins a Christmas movie too. I don't have a physical copy of that, but I think it's either on Netflix or Paramount because I remember watching it last year. See, that's what happens with a lot of movies that I remember as a kid too, is they kind of bring me back to that time period. In fact, it was funny. I was thinking last night that there was this movie. I don't remember what the movie is now. That I really should go out and get a copy of because it was a movie from like 30 or 40 years ago that I remember was really great, and it just kind of came to my mind. It's like, you know what, that'd be a good one to get. And then I forgot about it. So I don't know. I hope I remember what it is. I don't remember even what it was about. I don't know. Maybe it was. Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking that this morning when I got up. It's like, God, what was that movie I was thinking of? It'll come to me at some point. Yeah, I don't have like cable TV anymore, so unless it was like on like some streaming version of it or something like that. Oh, okay, we're gonna make you all yawn again. Copyright projection. Yeah, there's a bunch of things that have gone into the public domain. Thanks for stopping in, Ruth. Come back and visit us sometime. It's good to see you again. Like I said, it's been a long time. When I was reading this morning that there was a like a massive earthquake in Alaska this morning or last night or something like that. Let's go see if we can find that. So yeah, this is my let's see, Alaska is up here. Oh yes. I think I see it. Looks like there's all sorts of fun that's happening here. Yeah, I'm guessing that's the big one right there. No, that isn't even. Oh, 7.0. Yeah, that's wow, that's a big earthquake. Kind of right there on the Canadian border, isn't it? That is one big earthquake. Bigger than any earthquake I've ever been in, I'll tell you that. That one happened about 2:41 Texas time yesterday in the afternoon. Fun, fun, fun. Right there on the subduction fault. Best Christmas present I ever got. I don't know. I think maybe the last Christmas that my dad was with us, he kind of went all out for Christmas and gave me just a big chunk of cash, and that was what I used to buy my vlogging camera. Yeah, and that's the camera I still use to this day. And that camera's made me more money than I paid for it. So it was a good investment. I would say that was a good one. But I got some really fun toys when I was a kid, and it's hard to judge that kind of stuff. But it was always cool. My parents were always like supportive of my interests. When it came to Christmas and stuff like that. I remember the year that I was told by the HOA that I have to repaint my house in California, and I decided I was going to do it myself. And my parents bought me the paint sprayer that I used to do it. I'm guessing my dad knew that was going to be his last Christmas, so he wanted to send us off with a bang. He was up and down in probably the last 6 months. He was in and out of the hospital probably 5 or 6 times during that time. Because you got to remember, I'd moved away the previous spring, basically the previous May, and when I left, he was fine. The only thing he had, right before I left, I had to take him to the hospital because he had like a cataract surgery done, and I had to drive him home. But that was the worst of his issues. His health just really deteriorated in about the last 6 months of his life. And my mom, she kind of went downhill just in like about 2 week period, 2 or 3 weeks. Hey, bye. It is so windy out there right now. Yeah, I think it was fun for him to do that too. And of course, that inspired, my mom's coming on the live streams, and she did a whole bunch of those. But yeah, it's great to have that memory and be able to go back and play that live stream. Right, Bite? In fact, I really got to go back and start looking at the live streams and try and identify which ones my mom was on, because a lot of times she would just call in randomly, so I wouldn't put anything in the title. It's like, oh yeah, my mom called in on this one, or so. It's just live streams are always just given the name. It's the date and the word live stream. But I don't necessarily go back and rename them and says, yeah, my mom was on this one or something. I should really do go back and do that. Okay, thanks for stopping in, Gene. Have a good church. Well, what I can do is if I find them, I can go in and you know how well maybe you don't know. Um, I have well, if you've ever looked at my playlists, I assign playlists to things, and so if I'm doing a Silo of Screams vlog, I got a Silo of Screams playlist, and if you go to the channel, you can go to the Silo of Screams playlist, and it'll play all the videos that I have something to do with the silo, uh, or traveling, or that kind of stuff. All sorts of stuff. I got probably about 40 different playlists, and I could easily make one for my mom, for my dad, and do that. No, a lot of times, because we'd have a weekly conversation every week on Sunday, usually at 5 or so in the evening, and she'd call and we'd talk for a while, and any planning there was done there. But like I said, a lot of times she'd just call in unexpected, because I think the one with my dad, that was pretty easy, because I think I knew ahead of time that that was happening, that we had arranged that ahead of time, that he was going to come on and talk for a while. And even if not, I could easily find that, because it wasn't very long between um, when I moved here and when he passed away. So that's a very short window to look at. But after that, there was a long time. My mom called a lot of times. She's probably on 10 or 15 of them at least. Like I said, it'd just be a matter of going back and playing the old ones and seeing if I could find one. Well, she didn't really send the recipes. I kind of inherited those when I moved away, because at that point she was kind of getting to the point where they were downsizing, because they were getting ready to sell the house and all that. No, most of the recipes I got were like handwritten things, and they're ones that she had for years and years and years. So they have splatterings of some of the food on the recipe. The lasagna recipe is covered with tomato sauce. It's almost a lasagna all by itself. Oh yeah. By the way, this guy's back. I remember the first time I proposed her coming on and doing a live stream. She says, "Okay, yeah, we'll do that, but I want to go get a haircut first, so I look good." It's like, Mom, you're going to be on the phone. Nobody's going to see you. They're only going to hear you. You could be naked if you want. And then I think she was on the next week for the first time. And it definitely would have been after my dad died that that happened, because about the time my dad died, that was when COVID was starting to get crazy. And the week that he died, my mom moved into her apartment, and then like a week later, they locked that place down because of COVID. Nobody could come visit her. Her only they couldn't interact with each other. The guests couldn't interact with each other, and their only contact with the outside world was, when their meals were delivered. And so, that was really hard on my mom for that first, 6 months. And that was the reason she moved up to Sacramento ultimately, is, that place just turned into a prison. And She didn't like being disconnected from everyone. And yeah, I think she was up on the third floor of the apartment complex she was in. So she had a balcony. She'd go to the balcony, and if family wanted to come and visit and be down in the parking lot, they could like yell back and forth at each other. But that was the best she could do. And that was, like I said, my mom's always been a real sociable person, so that was not going to work for her, and it did not. And the one-two punch of losing my dad and then being isolated in her apartment for 6 months, that was really hard on her. In fact, I think that was the reason I started doing the live streams. Because then she could, interact with not only me but with you guys too. And I know she enjoyed doing that. She loved talking to Charlotte and Logan. Yeah, it was really hard on her. I know how much that affected her. Like I said, it was a one-two punch for her. And then the fact that she was stuck in the wheelchair and really couldn't even walk that much, that just isolated her more. Yeah, I know. Um, I gotta really, I like the fact that I got so much of my last 7 years of my life, documented because, and being a part of having my parents be a part of that, that was fun too. Thanks for stopping in, Yvonne. Let us know if you get your battery pumped up. I know what that's like. That's why I keep my laptop plugged in. I can go forever now. In fact, it's funny when I put my new computer on the battery backup. One of the things I did is I also put the modem and router on the battery backup. So even if the power went out now, I could go on battery power on the laptop and still probably get internet through the modem. So I don't know. Might be dark, but you could at least hear me. Be interesting to try that. See what happens. Battery backup has worked really well, though. There have been a few times we've had power outages here, and um, the computers did fine. I have a battery charger, not necessarily something I could jump the car off of, but I bought it mainly not for the car, but for the lawnmower. Because When we get into winter here, I don't generally use the lawnmower for that much. And so you end up with 6 months and then you try and start it again and the battery's dead. That means it's 12:45. Yeah, very cold right now. There's a northerly breeze coming out that's keeping things really cold, and I think we're supposed to get below freezing tonight. Might have to put out the frost blankets and stuff like that, so we're ready. But we're into winter, and that's cool. 81 in Venice, huh? Yeah, winter in Waco. No snow yet, but I don't know. We'll see. Usually, the snow month is like January or March or January, February, something like that. Yeah, probably don't get a lot of snow in Florida, do you? I do hear that it gets cold enough that the iguanas start falling out of the trees. That's a funny story. I loved some of the rain that they got in Florida, though. I spent a couple weeks in Florida, oh, probably in the early '90s or something like that, and it was the middle of summer too, so it was a lot of like summer thunderstorms blowing through, coming in off the ocean. Bugs were too big, though. Holy cow! I think some of the biggest spiders I ever saw were in Florida. Although we get some pretty big ones here too. A panther, is that a? I'm not sure what that is. Not a panther, is it? Panthers have long tails. There's a couple good pizza places. I did a video a couple years ago on a company called Slow Rise Pizza. That's here in Waco. Little pricey, but pretty good. That old Chicago pizza that I got, that was really good too. That was also a little pricey. There was a place called 900 Degrees Pizza I did way, way, way early on. I thought they had good pizzas too, but unfortunately they went under, so they aren't anymore. I love pizza. Pizza is almost the best food in the world. Okay, what's going on here? Oh, it's Susan again here. Okay. See, we would call that, I think, a mountain lion or something. Yeah, that's what Susan's talking about there. Is that the actual one that you saw, or is that just the same thing? Just another one of the same species. Hello, Justin. Welcome to the party. I'm sorry, I'm trying to see what the whole name is here. Oh, I see what it is. It's Justin Retro Stuff Channel, right? Is that what it is? Sorry, my vision sucks, and sometimes it's hard to read all that, especially when it's all kind of mashed together. Okay, yeah, that's what it looked like. Yeah, see, we call that a mountain lion, or at least that's what they called it in California. I just never heard of it called a panther. Let's see if we can get a better picture of this here. Yeah, it's a pretty creature, pretty critter. Nice kitty, right? Yeah, look at that. That's a pretty critter. Look at those eyes. No, I'm going to the rock shop today. Kara showed me some stuff that she picked up here. Let me show you what she showed me here, because what she does all the time is send me pictures of things that she thinks I might like, and so that's always fun. Let me see here. Okay, yeah, let's just do. Okay, we'll cut away here again. So that's a big crystal cluster that she found, quartz crystal. That one's really pretty. And I don't know if she brought any of these back to the store. She basically on this was saying that one of her wholesalers was going to cease doing business for a short period of time. I guess they're maybe looking for new stuff, and she wanted to know if there was anything there that I might be interested in. So that was a picture she showed me. That's kind of cool, but I don't like the really carved stuff. So that's not necessarily my thing. That's pretty. Look at all the little inclusions and stuff on that. I'd have to cut, get rid of all the Sharpie markers on the outside. That makes it look ugly. But And she kind of knows that I like the spheres, and so that's a pretty sphere. Look at the rainbow on that. And that's kind of cool too. That's some sort of a quartz crystal, some kind of thing like that. And I guess that's just their kind of their warehouse, their star room there. Another quartz piece. That's probably the same one we were looking at before. She does like little videos and stuff like that to show me. Yeah, that's the same thing we were looking at before. And that piece, that's one that reacts to the ultraviolet light. So she knows I love the UV stuff. And that's probably that sphere with the rainbow in it. I like that kind of stuff. I don't know. I don't know what it is about spheres, but spheres are kind of fun. That's one too that's also a little bit UV reactive. That one too. Holy cow. There's the hole all the way through the middle of that one. Okay, we're circling back again here, I think. Let's see here. But this is the stuff that I know that she brought back to the shop. I want to look at that because that's clearly in the shop, and that I definitely want to see that, and that I know that's in the shop, and that this one's kind of cool too. This looks like an ammonite fossil, but you zoom in on it and look at all the little crystal action going in on here. So that's going to definitely be something that's going to be worth looking at. And then that thing, I want to look at that too. That's an opalized ammonite fossil. So definitely going to be looking at that when we go over there today. No, she doesn't tell me the prices always. So we'll see what we have this time. But she knows the kind of things that I'm into, so she's good at taking care of me, taking care of her best customer. And last time I talked to her, I did mention that there's been some push for me to do a video in there. So at some point, I will go do a video in that place. Probably not today because I'm still kind of getting over my cold and I want to have a better voice. But I want to interview her, kind of get an idea of how she got into this, and I have a number of large quartz clusters that I really like. But you know what? If I see something else, that's just who I am. I've got more than one of certain things. One of the pieces I got, she still talks about all the time about how much she likes it and is glad that I'm the one who got it because she knows that I'll love it and all that. I don't think she really has a lot of competition in the area. The only other place that I know that sells rocks and minerals is the Cameron Trading Company, and that's just kind of a consignment store. It's mostly antiques, but one of the people who rents one of the little sections of the store does rocks and minerals. But It isn't. I don't think it's as serious of a business as like Kara is, where they're selling stuff. It seems like it's the same things over there every time I go. Well, she knows the value of taking care of a good customer, and I think I'm a pretty good customer. I bought a lot of stuff from her, which is why I kind of want to go down and do a video for her. A lot of times when I like promote companies, Silo Screams or even that Paranormal Circ, if I'm promoting the company, I usually turn the ads off. So, the Paranormal Circ video, you may have noticed there's no advertisements on that. How did I find her? Because I started visiting her shortly after I went to the first Rock and Mineral show, but I don't think I discovered her there. I don't think she was there at that show that year. She was there the next year, but I don't know. Maybe you just when I started posting videos of my rocks on there, maybe Facebook just recommended her. And of course, we'll have another Rock and Mineral show coming up in spring here. And that's really good that it happens right then because it's usually a couple of weeks after I get my bonus from work. Yeah, she used to be in downtown Waco on Austin Avenue. And about the time she had the divorce, she moved away from that place and moved into a shop in Hewitt, which is actually just a little community that's a little south of Waco. And that's where she is now. I went into her shop once a few years ago when they were still in the other store, but I have not been into this one. I'm going to have to consider that, John. I am running out of room. Now, when I rearranged things a month or two ago, I did end up consolidating stuff and I got more room now. So I'll be all right for a while. But yeah, I'm going to have to consider other options at some point. I have something that's kind of in the deep recesses of my mind here that I'm working on, but I haven't really ever thought about enclosing the patio. I guess I could see myself enclosing it with like screens or something like that just to keep the bugs out. Well, if I needed a sweet dining room, I'd just work on the in the living room here, build something in here. That's one of the things I really love about this main room here. This is such a big room. It goes all the way to that side. So, and the opposite wall there. So yeah, this room is, probably 20 feet this way and 40 feet this way. So this is a big, big room. I could build a really kind of nice dining room in here if I wanted to. Well, I do follow a couple of rock and mineral pages on Facebook, and so that's fun. You know, see all sorts of kind of cool stuff that's out there. Yeah, I mean, everything I have in this room, I could still put a pool table over there if I wanted one. I think I saw Jordan at one point when he moved into his house was talking about a pool table, and he had found some sort of pool table that could like be transformed into a dining room table. You just put something on top of it, and boom, you get a table. I've never seen any of those, but that would be really cool. I don't know if you have actually ever did anything with that, but that would be a good one. No house projects right now. If I do get to the point where I need to make more rock and mineral cases, then we'll go with that. That'll definitely be a massive project. Yeah, I've never been to his place, but it seems like it's a decent sized house. I've seen video, of him inside of it, and I know where it is. So I've looked at the house like on satellite photos, and yeah, it seems like a really nice house. I don't know about an indoor swimming pool. I mean, I got probably enough room for one here, but no, I don't know. I don't know about that. Seems to me he travels a lot now, so I don't know how much he spends time in the house. In fact, I think he said something to me at one point that he doesn't spend a lot of time there. Who knows? That may change at some point. Now he's a married man here, and I don't think Jaw was ever going to be into the pool that much. John never really was a huge fan of the water. He doesn't even like going outside when it rains. Jordan said that a few times, and I've seen it personally. He'll walk to the door, he'll look at you. It's like, hey, you don't expect me to go out there, do you? You crazy? John's starting to turn into an old man. He's coming up on, I don't know, he's got to be 8 or 10 now, I think. Because Jordan's had Jaw, I think, longer than yeah, he had Jaw longer than he was vlogging. And he was vlogging a couple years before I was. In fact, I still have the sign from his 100th episode, which was what, November of 2016. So yeah, Jaw's got to be 9 or 10. I don't know. I don't know if I drive or fly. I actually do like kind of driving. Yeah, I know it's crazy because I'm coming up on like, let's see, this is going to be my 6th year, I think, of doing vlogs in just a couple of months. No, no, it's going to be my 7th year. Yeah, my 7th year because I'm coming up on my 6th year anniversary at work, and I was here for what 10 months before that, and it was a couple months before I left for Texas that I did my first vlog. So yeah, probably like February or whatever, that's going to be the 7 year anniversary. Crazy, huh? And like I said, Jordan had been doing it for a couple years before me. Yeah, that's probably right, John. 9 or 10, something like that. In fact, I think, yeah, maybe 10 is about right because I remember Jordan and I went to Vegas one year right before I moved with Jaw to celebrate his 5th birthday. And if I've been gone for 7 years, and that's Jaw's definitely 10. Yeah, Jaw is one spoiled doggy. Oh, I just looked at the clock. I've been going for 2 hours and 12 minutes. Okay, well, I think I put in my 2 hours and plus a little bit. So I think I'm going to pull the plug on this one, head on over to Gallery 11 and see what they got for me. And we'll pick this up again next week. Thanks, everyone, for watching. I'll see you next time. Good night.